Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you are in. This is Big Girl Diary. All right, look, Shannon Sharpe drama. Now, this is big, okay? This is a lot bigger than you believe, and it goes into different directions. As I was going through the information that I found, I start making connections. I'm like, oh man. Uh, oh man. All right. Man, Shannon, you stuck your foot in it. When Monique told you to get with a big woman and sit your old tail down, you should have listened. When Cat Williams told you, you better leave these young women alone, get with older women, because he don't even do what he messes with women his age. He's like, I love women, but I know if I go in a certain direction, I'm going to have some problems. You should have listened, Shannon. But your desires got the best of you, and you allowed the wrong brain to think. And now that I think about it, let me go ahead and say this real quick. Shannon Sharpe has said horrible things to people who were in the same predicament that he finds himself right now. Men going after the fountain of youth, dealing with these young women barely out of their teens, and they're there pouncing on them. And it's shameful on their behalf because these young girls are just learning who they are and they really have no concept of what they're doing. You're like, hey, BGD, they're adults. You're right. They are adults, but however, they are young adults and they don't know what they do. They just do it because they're on automatic pilot. But as time progresses and they're going to start thinking about what they did, it's like, especially Gabrielle Zuninga. Man, when she takes a step back at some point, and she will, because she started doing this at the age of what, 19? She was seeing Shannon Sharpe at the age of 19. And she's a only man, only fans model, which people already have their perspective of these women anyway. They're objectified and they get paid for time, right? So they do stuff there and they do stuff outside of social media in real life. So she was seeing Shannon Sharpe on real life. And even though there's one of two avenues that she's working off of, because when you see this, some of the stuff that I'm going to present, I'm not even going to. Okay, she is knee deep in this stuff, and either she's doing this because to try to help take care of her family, and if I think I know who her mother is. Couldn't find a father, but I think I know who her mother is. I'm not certain, but you can make up your own mind. Helping her family out financially because people are struggling. I mean, ever since the close down of the world, people have lost their standing and are in a, how can I say, a worse position that they found themselves in before. I'm going to leave that right there. All right, let's get into this stuff. All right, Shannon. Monique told you to stay in your old lane and leave those young girls alone. And the fact that he was dealing with that young girl, he's going on 60 and she just turned what, 22? That's disgusting. And I know that your children are older than the girl you were with. I mean, I don't know how people, or shall I say men, women do it too. Cher is dating. She's 78 and her boyfriend's like what 35, but that's a heck of a lot better than 19. I'm just saying. All right. But he you should have listened to Monique. She tried to give you game, and I guess in a way she was trying to tell you you're getting to get set up. You're getting ready to get set up. Watch your surroundings. Because in my opinion, this right here is a shakedown. They're shaking Shannon down. And when he allowed Cat Williams on, and Cat said everything what he had to say, and then what like 2 weeks later, he made an apology video apologizing to Kevin Hart and some other people. I still don't know why Dave Chappelle chimed in on it. It made no sense to me. It didn't make any sense at all. Now, this right here is Shannon Sharpe, and the woman over here, her name is Gabby Zuninga, and this is one of her pictures on IG. Now, like I said, she's on IG, but also she's OnlyFans, and that's how. Now, it's quite interesting because she is in Nevada, but she found herself at a gym to where Shannon Sharpe he works out at, and she made herself visible to him. So that's why I believe that this right here is a shakedown on my belief. Okay. Now, this is her in a different type of attire. But Shannon, she's saying that he grape juiced her, essay her, some other things. But this is what she said that happened. Now, she never went to the police, never filled out a police report, but she has Tony Busby. I mean, ding, ding, ding. I mean, there's so much there right there in Tony Busby. All right. So you have this dinging going off. So she goes to him. Now, there was a negotiation with her. He said something about $10 million and go away. And the only thing what she wanted for him to do was to pay for behind implants. And she kept on asking for it and asking for it. He kept on saying yes, yes. She was performing these acts. He was receiving the acts. He got what he wanted, but she didn't get what she wanted out of it. And she's like, look, if you don't give me what I want, I'm young, dumb, and and full of man juice, and I will wreck your life. Now, she didn't come out and say it like that. She didn't, but however, her actions proved it by go on X, type in Shannon Sharpe, and then you'll see the videos for yourself. Okay? He was in deep in this stuff. All right. So so if you look at this post right here, just take a look at it, right? And I have to say it's quite interesting the timing of this lawsuit because he's getting ready to sign a $100 million deal, and his podcast is blowing up. He's having all these big interviews. People want to talk to him. And it seemed like after the Cat Williams stuff, that's when people start tapering off some, and then maybe a word was put out, and then people stop signing up to come to be interviewed. So here, as you read right here, it's saying she's saying he did this, but here she's saying how she liked to be tied up and wear a dog collar. Now, that's getting into some weird stuff. I mean, people do weird stuff to enjoy one's time in a company of someone else. And I'm going to put it just like that. Okay? But however, this right here is where it gets to. This is Shannon and her. This right here is where it gets to the things that she's texting to him that she wants done. Now, I mean, she said some really interesting things right here. I'm not even going to say it, but just look at that right there. What she wants to do back there to him and saying, fill me up with man juice, and she wants his baby. Now, if this 57-year-old man gets that 22-year-old woman pregnant, um, she's like, ching ching, your life will be mine. And by her being submissive and doing what he wants her to do, she's doing that for a reason. And it's not like that she's gung-ho over him. No, that isn't it. He led with his wallet, and she led with her sexuality. You know what I mean? Put an S there. Have to look out for the algorithm. So as you just go through this nasty stuff, right? And that's what he wanted. She gave him what he wanted, and I possibly threw in some extra. Now, before I get into who I believe her mother is, and I have the possible mother and her next to each other so you could take a look. Now, I looked up her mother, and she doesn't say much about her children. She does have a daughter and a son. So, and she real and her possible mother just recently got married in 2019. So by her being 22 and her mother being a famous actress back in the 80s and 90s, um, 30 years is a long span of time to not really be out there being visible and getting work. Um, your money does dwindle. It does. So, like I said earlier, I wasn't sure if she was doing this asking um what's his name, Shannon Sharpe for $50 million, then that would really put her in a great position, her family in a great position. But by her being short sighted, not really thinking about years from now when she has children, and children do go and they're going to be looking back at their parents and that time era what they were in. And I know that they're going to look at the Me Too movement and imagine them looking back and finding out what their mother did and what she was doing and how she got the generational wealth. I mean, it's going to be ugly, and it's going to and a lot of children rebel from their parents when they find out how they got the money. They got it. Some people say all great wealth came from robbery, theft, or a crime. Now you can consider this shaking a man down. That can be considered a crime, based on she's saying he did these horrible things, but she never went to the police. Okay, I'm just going to leave that right there. Let's get to who I believe her mother is. Yes, Daphne Zuninga. She played on Melrose Place. She was everywhere back in the late 80s and 90s. She was everywhere. Now, if you take a look, I don't know. I don't know. But her name popped up. I'm like, I remember that name. And if you look at that, look at her, just look at them. Now, she does make her hair darker, right? And I don't know if you see any resemblance. I'm not quite sure. But to me, there may be a possibility. There may be a possibility. Now, I don't recall her being married back in the late 80s and 90s, because right now she's like 60, 63, 64. She's older than Shannon Sharpe, which, woo, okay. But however, if this right here, if Gabby or Gabriella is her daughter, she's not the only one that has gone astray like this. And let's get into that right now. Do you by any chance remember a Denise Richardson? Denise Richardson was married to Charlie Sheen, an actress. I want to say Tough Turf, but no, that would be Kim Richardson. But she did a lot of movies. I believe that she was in The Undercover Brother. I believe that was her. But however, her daughter Danny Sheen, she's a OnlyFans. She turned 18, and that's exactly where she went, straight there. Her father exploded. Now, Denise Richardson is doing OnlyFans. So so there's a big shakeup in Hollywood. The economy is going down. People that, that were, working regularly in movies and short films and movie series and all this other stuff, work is disappearing because things are being taken over by AI. And they're tired of the foolishness that going on, studios getting sued because of the actors' behavior, the executives, all this other stuff. So a lot of these jobs are dwindling away, and now they got to find a way. How do I make money? And they're making money the best way they know how. Now, I'm not quite sure whether if Denise Richardson has anything outside of acting, well, besides OnlyFans, and that's sad. But that's where her daughter went. And oh, Lord have mercy. Now, when Charlie Sheen hit the roof, my baby, Charlie, like I said in the video, because I did this video about a year ago when all this came, about a year and a half ago when all this came out. Um, he went to women that had they didn't have websites, but they had like escort services. And when he was dating Shannon Doherty, she got him that service and he was quite happy. So, so Charlie has been running around doing some wild stuff around LA, and now his daughter's doing the same. He's like, not my baby. Yes, your baby, because you were on top of somebody else's daughter. Hey, it always comes home. It always comes home. Whenever you do something dirty, it comes back to you. Now, this is Sammy Sheen, Charlie's daughter, and this was on her Instagram. Now, she also has OnlyFans as well, as I said. But now, outside of Shannon Sharpe, let me go ahead on to the other side of it because there is an unspoken person that has a lot to do with this, that's bringing a lot of this stuff together. And they are basically above the law. They're never going to be touched. They may give out a little bit of money, but they're never going to be touched at all. Okay, now let's go ahead and get to the real big wigs that are above all this stuff. Okay, here. Now, there's a person called Lucian Grains. Lucian Grains is over the UMG music group, and he had a lot to do with P. Diddy. P. Diddy was allowed to run around the way he was, and Lucian Grains cashed in. And a bunch of other businesses, but UMG was the big thing over it. Now, Lucian Grains is knighted. His name is Sir Lucian Grains. Now, when a lot of this stuff came out about Cassie, and Cassie is the genesis of this stuff to where she gets a $30 million settlement from being with P. Diddy, that was, I guess, her boyfriend, whatever it was, and her producer, to where she was supposed to have a music career, which she only put out a couple of records. Now, when I heard her music, You and Me, I didn't like it. She was too busy trying to look like and act like Aaliyah, in my belief. It just didn't take to me. So I don't know whether if P. Diddy was like, you're not really good, but you're beautiful, but I want to keep you around and give you a life because whatever. Whatever. But however, he Lucian Grains financed everything through Universal Music Group. Now, the woman in the middle is the Duchess of York. She's English royalty. She was married to Prince Andrew, the uncle of Prince William and Harry. Well, he's married to her. Now, two of them, Duchess Beatrice and Duchess Eugenia, um, were had some dealings out there in LA, and that fell into the category not exactly of Shannon Sharpe, but was in those circles. So Shannon Sharpe may have been with her, but he also was in those parties too, the P. Diddy parties. Yes, he was. However, they had some understanding of this parties. However, their names were on the list, and I don't know if they would have to. I don't think they would have to testify because they are above the realm. They are part of the family that calls the shots. You're like, well, hey, Big Girl Diary, BGD, they have to pay for crimes. Yeah, you're right. In a fair world, in a fair world, okay. Now this right here is Prince Andrew. That right there is Duchess Fergie's ex-husband and Princess Eugenia and Beatrice's father. Now this guy right here has a lot to do with Jeffrey EpiPen. In fact, Jeffrey EpiPen was over in his where he lived. What was it, York Manor or whatever it was? And his mother was like, "Oh, God, no, you got to step back from your duties." And he was like, "I want to be seen." Well, yeah, well, he caused a lot of issues, and the woman that he said that he had nothing to do with. However, Shannon Sharpe was given some sound advice. He didn't take it. He was too busy admonishing other people. Oh, how can you be with that young girl? This, that, and the other. Now, he has egg on his face. Imagine all the other men that he put down, talked down to, talked about, said, I don't like. When he was pointing his finger at them, he had three pointing back at himself. And so now, I mean, humble pie, humble pie. He lost his job. He lost his contract, his $100 million contract that is gone. For what? You couldn't be with an older fat woman? Huh? Shannon? But Shannon has a lot of issues. He does. He has a lot of issues. And I don't know if they stem back from not being, how can I say, he may not be the prettiest thing on a block, but he looks like a decent guy. And damn, Shannon, put yourself in this terrible position. Terrible position. You lost everything. But sometimes when you don't get that shine or that play, and you want to date some girls that you think that are pretty, and they're like, nah, I don't like you, you're ugly, blah, 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 blah. Well, then you start going out and making money, and then you start getting attention from beautiful women, all different colors, and you just want to taste the rainbow. That's exactly what he did, but make the rainbow older. But on that note, please like, subscribe.